Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world
This is the Roger Stone Show, and one of my favorite segments we try to do for you every week is has to do with food, because, well, I like to eat. Today we have my mother's, therefore my grandmother's recipe for her famous meatballs. Now you're going to need, get something to write with real quick here, folks. You're going to need 1 cup of breadcrumbs, 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of ground pork, 2 large eggs, 1 cup of grated pecorino cheese, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, some black pepper, 6 garlic cloves chopped. You could go for 7 or 8 as far as I'm concerned. 6 sprigs of flat leaf parsley leaves or stems, and of course you're going to need your basic marinara sauce. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. You line a rimmed baking pan with aluminum foil. Combine all the ingredients except for the cooked sauce in a large bowl and mix with your hands, being careful not to overmix. If the mixture is too dry, add just a touch of water, perhaps a 1/4 cup. Now, roll the mixture into golf ball-sized balls or ovals and place them in the lined baking pan. Add 1/2 cup of water to the pan and carefully transfer to the oven. Bake for 1 hour or until the meatballs are golden brown. Remove and set them aside. Now, when the meatballs are almost done, place the sauce in a large pot and heat thoroughly. When the oil turns dark and rises to the top of the sauce, drop in the baked meatballs and cook for 1 hour. Marron, my mother's recipe for Italian meatballs. You got to try it out. All right, joining us now, Enrique Tarrio. He is or was the head of the Proud Boys. He was framed by the U.S. government for seditious conspiracy on January 6th. Interestingly enough, he was indicted on the basis of a document sent to him by an FBI informant on his Telegram account that he never even opened. Enrique Tarrio was not at the Capitol. In fact, he wasn't in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. And according to Reuters, they reported on August 20th, 2021, that their investigation indicated that there was no conspiracy by any paramilitary or other radical group to storm the Capitol. Enrique Tarrio was put through hell, framed by prosecutors for a crime he did not commit. I was reunited with him for dinner the other night at one of the best Cuban night spots in Hialeah, and he is none the worse for wear. He never lost his faith, and he joins us now. Enrique, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Roger, thanks for having me on. I appreciate your guests, and I appreciate you guys for supporting us through, what was a very difficult time for not only me, for 1,600 others, and not only a weaponized justice system, but through the torture that the BOP put some of these guys through. We're currently working on civil litigation to go ahead and correct some of those wrongs, and I think the president and the DOJ is currently correcting those wrongs by firing some of these prosecutors and firing some of these FBI agents. So we won't see true justice until all of these things are corrected, and we will see a better America once these things are accomplished.
So, Enrique, just for my listeners, I want to be very clear. You were not at the Capitol on January 6th, correct?
Yes, I was not at the Capitol, and not only was I not at the Capitol, I didn't even have a phone. So I don't understand how the government went ahead and not only indicted me, but imprisoned me and convicted me with a jury that was not of my peers.
And as I recall, the government claimed that you had edited this document sent to you by an FBI informant on Telegram when in fact you hadn't even opened it.
So they were very smart in how they indicted me, because what they did is, with the grand jury, they showed them this document and they just told them that this document was on my phone. The government knew that this document was never opened by me. I get millions of messages by random people on Telegram, and when they brought their forensics expert on the stand, we asked them very clearly, because I knew I had never seen this document. We asked them very clearly, did Enrique Tarrio open this document? Her simple answer was no. Then we asked her, well, how do you know that? Well, when we pulled the information on the phone, if any of your listeners have WhatsApp or Telegram, they'll notice that there are 2 check marks. When you send a message to somebody, you know that that's red. So the document was never opened. The document couldn't be edited by me because I never saw it.
They charged and convicted you of seditious conspiracy. You went through the same kangaroo court I did in D.C., in which I don't believe that there is an honest, unbiased judge, or one can get a fair, unbiased jury, given the political makeup of the District of Columbia. In my own trial, it amazes me. You can pick 12 people, but not come up with a single non-Democrat, except for the one guy who's in the Green Party, not a single military veteran, not a single Roman Catholic, but several veterans who had worked for the Clinton Justice Department or the Obama Justice Department, and in one case, a woman who had been a law school classmate of one of the prosecutors in my case. It is stunning that my case, I think this may have been true in yours, the judge essentially disallowed any reasonable defense. In other words, the premise of the indictment against me was that I had somehow been involved or intercepted documents that they alleged had come from an online hack by Russian intelligence of the Democrat National Committee. I had expert testimony and forensic evidence to prove that there was no online hack of the Democrat National Committee, that in fact any data that was stolen had been downloaded to a portable drive and removed from the building by someone, but the judge would not allow that. I also could not introduce evidence of corruption by the FBI, by the Department of Justice, by the Special Counsel's Office, or by any member of Congress. I don't want to say any names, Adam Schiff. And of course, that's a violation of the Constitution under Kyles v. Whitley, that holds that the integrity of an investigation and an indictment is always grounds for defense. So it is a killing field, and you were a political pawn. Tell us about the conditions in the D.C. jail, although, as I recall, you spent time in multiple prisons around the country.
Well, D.C. jail is very, I guess, unique, but not, I wouldn't say much better than any of the other 40 prisons and county jails I went to. But it is unique in the fact that the officers there are either one way or another. Either they don't care about you, therefore they don't give you the medical attention you need, or they hate you because you are a Trump supporter. But I got that same treatment in all 40 locations that I went to. They would transport me. They had me labeled as a domestic terrorist, so they transport me differently. They put me, and I want your listeners, after they listen to this show, to go ahead and Google what box cuffs are. And it looks like a medieval torture device that you put over somebody's hands. And that is how I spent about 3 years of my life. And you know, the most nefarious thing about it is how easily one gets adapted to this situation. So I can't say that I was suffering, because I got used to it. The people who suffered really was my family, including my beautiful mother that has fought for me nonstop from day one, and it's kept my name going around everywhere. And I think that's another reason why the president pardoned me. Conditions in the D.C. jail and other jails with food, lack of hygiene. There was one time that I went 3 weeks without showering, without brushing my teeth, and without seeing a single ounce of daylight. So I think criminal justice reform is at the top of my list, but I do want to see justice served on those that committed these acts, not only to me, like I said, those 1,600 other individuals.
The media kept referring to you as a white supremacist and a racist. What, Enrique, what is your ethnicity?
I am a Cuban American, and I'm actually Afro-Cuban, in the fact that my family, my descendants came from Africa, and they also came from Spain. And my family fled communism, and they were surprised that the country that they came and they so loved was doing this to one of their own family members, exactly what they fled in Cuba.
This technique of moving you to 40 different facilities to be incarcerated is what they call diesel treatment. Right now, there is a Green Beret Master Sergeant, Jeremy Brown, also a Floridian, who was pardoned by President Donald Trump, but because a D.C. magistrate ordered a search of Brown's home after Brown refused to become an informant for the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, and he legally taped those two efforts to convince him to infiltrate your group or another group to become an informant. They have refused to release him, saying that his pardon does not extend to the charges based on things they planted in his home, which their own documents say the search was January 6th related. Frankly, I hear from Jeremy Brown's mother and his lawyer, and I have tried to get this case in front of President Trump, because what they're doing to this decorated veteran, who, by the way, was not charged with any violent crime, didn't enter the Capitol, didn't assault any police officers, didn't destroy any public property. His crime seems to be simply refusing to be an informant.
The situation with Jeremy Brown is very important, and I think that those responsible, and I think there's two parties that are specifically responsible for that, is the Bureau of Prisons and the U.S. Marshals. I think that the Department of Justice should do their job and investigate if they are holding, and I believe they're holding him illegally. He must be released immediately. And I think the Department of Justice needs to do what they do, and they need to investigate. And if they're keeping him longer than he's supposed to be, which is the case, they need to be indicted and imprisoned.
It is really extraordinary. It's very clear if anyone will read the documents. We had actually Carol Stewart, who is Jeremy Brown's attorney, on the show last weekend. I had really hoped that he would have been released by now. All this would require, by the way, is an order by the acting attorney general to the head of the Bureau of Prisons, and he would be released. But it appears that rogue U.S. Marshals and Bureau of Prison officials continue to hold Jeremy Brown in violation of the law. He is clearly being tortured simply because he refused to become an informant. So I ask our audience out there to pray for justice for Jeremy Brown. This is one of the most egregious cases among those of the many people who were abused on January 6th. We're talking about sentences in many cases for nonviolent offenses like trespassing far longer than the norm. This is a blot on our history, but worse than that, the conditions that these prisoners were kept in violate the Geneva Conventions. In other words, we are treating American citizens worse than we treat terrorists, being deprived of water, living in facilities with backed up sewage, being denied medical attention. We've had some of the detainees lost an eye, others died of cancer because they could not get medical attention. This is, I think, falls squarely on Merrick Garland. When it comes to his record as Attorney General, he makes John Mitchell look like St. Thomas Aquinas. This is the Roger Stone Show here on 77 WABC. We'll be back with Enrique Tarrio and a little more political news, so don't touch that dial.
It's the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
Id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
This is the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
I hope you enjoyed our previous segment regarding the Kennedy assassination. I want to thank the folks at ProjectJFK.com as well as JFKHistorical.com, both nonprofits dedicated to further research on the Kennedy assassination, for making our guests available to us today. We return to Enrique Tarrio, who endured horrific conditions after being framed for seditious conspiracy, along with a number of others, when the FBI concluded as early as August 20th, 2021, that there was no conspiracy. And as he has outlined for us, convicted on the basis of government-planted evidence from an FBI informant on his Telegram channel. Enrique, what other evidence did the government produce in their effort to convict you of seditious conspiracy if there was no conspiracy?
So another piece of evidence, which was I'm going to use quotes, the damning evidence that they showed the jury, was that I celebrated what happened on that day. Later on, and the day after it happened, and after people left, I made social media posts, and yes, I celebrated what I saw and how I saw it that day, which how it was reported is a little different than what we see it now. In no way, shape, or form can I condone any violence that happened that day, but I did celebrate it. So if that was a crime, then I'm definitely guilty of that crime. But they didn't charge me with that, Roger. They charged me with sedition. For those that don't know what sedition is, it's one step under treason. They wanted me to rot in a federal prison for 22 years of my life for social media posts and for a document that I did not read. Other than that, they did not have any evidence of my involvement in January 6th. And really what I was going to do, I did have plans for January 6th. My plans for January 6th was listen to the president speak in the entirety of its speech. A lot of people also don't know this. While the president was speaking, the Capitol was breached. So the president was still speaking. So my plan was to finish that. I had 2 stages to speak on after that. And we had the lead singer of the Misfits, which was going to give us a little unplugged session. His name's Michael Graves. So I don't know how the government, and again, I don't think that the government actually thought that I did it, but how the government thought, or the jury for that matter, thought that I was going to foment an insurrection at 1 o'clock and then at 2:30 be at a hotel in Virginia listening to music and partying with the guys. My sole objective of the day is to make sure that my guys got home safe and that other Trump supporters were safe, and to enjoy the rest of the evening celebrating President Trump.
All right. This is a horrific tale. Again, I urge people to go to Give, Send, Go because Jeremy Brown and his family need our help. He is, again, a Green Beret Master Sergeant who served his country with distinction, an unblemished record of service to the country. He was pardoned by President Donald Trump literally just days ago, but the Bureau of Prisons refuses to honor that pardon because they claim that a search of his home in Florida that was not ordered by a Florida magistrate, but ordered by a magistrate in D.C., and which the court documents say is in connection with January 6th and an investigation into whether he is a domestic terrorist, found evidence in his home, which was, I guess, 2 unarmed World War II vintage grenades, which were really keepsakes, 2 short barrel rifles that even if they were illegal, you would pay a fine for owning them in the state of Florida. And what they said was some cassette tape which contained classified information. That tape did not have Jeremy Brown's fingerprints on it or any of the dog hairs. He's a dog lover, or his girlfriend's fingerprints. Pretty obvious to me that it was planted. You can go to GiveSendGo.com, look up Jeremy Brown. We're not going to give up this fight until the Bureau of Prisons and the U.S. Marshals honor his pardon. His pardon very clearly pertains to the results of the search warrant at his home. I want to thank Enrique Tarrio. Enrique, what are your immediate plans? I know you had a thriving T-shirt business before all of this, and are you going to go back to that? And what do you have in mind?
For 3 years, I made all these plans. I wrote it in a notebook because I knew one day I was going to be released early through either appeals or a presidential pardon. And 2 months ago, I kind of sat back and said, you know what? I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to enjoy my family. I'll probably get back into the merchandise business. But again, right now, all I'm doing is enjoying my family, and that's what I plan on doing. If you guys, your listeners, want to keep up to date, I am Noble1, O-N-E, on Twitter. And if I bring the merch site back up, go ahead and click and get some of these cool shirts. And I'm happy to have made the Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong shirt.
You were the original artist behind that shirt, and I raised 15 million. I sold 1,500 of those shirts to pay for my own legal defense. My friend, we have both been subjected to the killing fields of D.C., both framed for crimes that did not exist. In my case, of course, the prosecutors and the judge withheld from my defense attorneys Robert Mueller's final report. And it wasn't until BuzzFeed sued the Justice Department to win release of it. They released that report on midnight on Election Day of 2020, conceivably the busiest media day of the year, to make sure that no one reported it. But even Robert Mueller could not sugarcoat the fact that he, by his own admission, said that I could not be prosecuted in connection with Russian collusion or WikiLeaks collaboration because there was no factual basis for that claim. He actually went on to say that even if he had found that I received materials from WikiLeaks, which he did not, that would not have been illegal under previous case law. So the attempt to destroy me and my family in order to pressure me to testify falsely against President Donald Trump was a crucible that I got through only through my faith and because of the support of my family. Last night I posted the pictures on X of my wife at 75 years old, hard of hearing, but still beautiful, both inside and out, being perp walked out of our house at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's what these people have done. That's why the president was justified in firing FBI agents involved not only in his persecution, but also in my persecution. Enrique Tarrio, thank you so much for joining us today on The Roger Stone Show.
Thank you so much, Roger. Love you guys. Thank you.
All right. God bless you. The other great news this week, if you haven't had time to watch the hearings in which Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel went before the U.S. Senate, it is something to behold. Robert F. Kennedy continues to have my respect as for both his integrity and his brilliance. I could not have controlled my Sicilian temper, but he handled himself extraordinarily well in the face of withering criticism from U.S. senators who have literally taken millions and millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry that Kennedy seeks to hold accountable for their actions. Particularly egregious was Bernie Sanders, who said that he took, honking away as usual, not a single penny from pharmaceutical executives, when in fact you can go to the FEC records and see that he took millions from Big Pharma. But he was undone by the Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, sometimes referred to as Pocahontas, fake Indian. Remember, she lied about her ethnic heritage in order to get preferential treatment in her education. And she has actually taken more money from Big Pharma than the socialist senator from Vermont, who, by the way, skimmed millions of dollars in media commissions from his 2 presidential campaigns to pay for his 3 homes and his top-of-the-line Mercedes. Socialism for thee, but not for me when it comes to Bernie Sanders. I want to thank you for joining us today on The Roger Stone Show. Hope you enjoyed our discussion of the upcoming releases by President Donald Trump of the documents, classified documents pertaining to the Kennedy assassination. Now, folks, don't go away because my good friend Joe Piscopo will be right along with Sundays with Sinatra. Until next week, God bless you and Godspeed.